And folks, if you're looking for a great show, you're saying, I don't know what show to listen to. Stop listening to Fox News and start listening to Patriot Strong Podcast. Stop listening to fake media and Newsweek and Newsmax and start listening to the Patriot Strong Podcast. Make it your daily mission to listen to this podcast and share it with your friends. Thank you so much, Courtney. Have a great day.
Hi, friends. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Patriot Strong podcast. I am so thrilled, so excited to bring my next guest to you. I have been looking forward to this since I found out that he was running for mayor of Cincinnati. I'm like, oh my gosh, no way. And I know a lot of you guys are local, and he's local. He has a really cool story to tell. So I hope that you enjoy this. Please, 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 if you are local to me, please share this podcast, tag all your local friends. It is going to be so important, and you will understand why in just a moment. Cory Bowman is running for mayor of Cincinnati. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen it on all the local news stations. He's been on 55 KRC. Newsmax did an interview with you, and there's been a couple others. He's been so busy this last week trying to collect donations. And maybe you've heard of one of his family members, our Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, keeping it in the family with politics. And I love that so much. Cory, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Courtney.
Now, I have just a few questions for you. First of all, how did this get started? Were you always interested in politics? I know that you founded a church. You and your wife own a coffee shop in downtown. All of these local ties. So can you tell my audience a little bit about you and your political journey up to, I think you said like a week ago, right?
Yeah, it was actually not last Monday, but the Monday before was my first entrance into the political realm. It's definitely been a whirlwind. I joke around with people and say that my phone has felt like a 90s beeper that's just been buzzing nonstop in my pocket. But yeah, basically, me and my wife, we founded the River Church Cincinnati in downtown Cincinnati. It's actually in a place called the West End. And then that was 4 years ago. And then 2 years later, we started King's Arms Coffee in the same area of West End. And then basically, as the journey went on, the whole vision of everything has been to impact the area, to impact the city in the greatest way that we can. And you had mentioned that my half brother is JD Vance. First and foremost, he's my brother. He's a role model, somebody that I look up to. And so we were there in D.C. to support him during the inauguration with all the other sides of the family. And it was just really surreal to see that family member get to that status. And we were so happy for him and Usha and his family. But then as I'm flying back, I realized that my hometown of Cincinnati, that we either had a choice to be held back the next 4 years or to go along with the golden age of this next 4 years. And not only just to go along, but to be on the forefront, because I really believe Cincinnati is the greatest city on the face of the earth. And we have the most potential out of any city that I've ever seen.
And downtown Cincinnati is so pretty. There are so many different sites and different things that we can do, whether it's the farmers market, take your family to a Bengals game or a Cincinnati game, or, all of these little parks, the Cincinnati Zoo, all of these treasures that our city holds. And over the years, it's just been, I feel like, kind of pushed to the side because we're seeing so many of the negative things that unfortunately happen in our city. And one thing that I want to point out to you guys, my listeners, I don't know if you realize this, there has not been a Republican or conservative candidate even run since 2009. The last Republican mayor of Cincinnati, I believe, was in the late 70s, early 80s, well before I was born. And, for there not to even be a choice of one or the other, it's just been an echo chamber of I think your idea is really good, back and forth with all of these Democrat candidates, councilmen, what have you, and it's really just not gotten anywhere good. We're still seeing so many issues in the inner city, in Cincinnati. And, being so local and so connected, I hate that sometimes the negative overpowers the positive in Cincinnati, because Cincinnati is such a great city.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I tell people when we started this race, I think a lot of politicians go right toward the mindset of everything's crap and I'm going to make it good. But that's not necessarily how I feel. Cincinnati is the greatest city on the face of the earth. It's where I have my family. It's where we want to raise our family, and it's where I grew up. I grew up going to Bengals games and Reds games. I love the sports, the food, everything about it. And so I'm not sitting here saying that Cincinnati right now is just a hellhole. But what I will say is that there are certain issues and certain things that have happened over the last 4 years, specifically, even over the last 15 years and 50 years, to where there are certain things that look good on the surface, but there's communities that have been forgotten about. There are certain communities that have been either pushed aside, or certain issues that have been placed under the rug for the sake of just looking like we have it all together. But you're starting to see all of that bottleneck right now because it's carrying over not only in the areas where I'm from, in the West End, West Side, and Avondale, but it's also carrying on into places like Hyde Park and places like Pendleton, even, and certain areas to where people are getting very frustrated with what I would say is broken promises. It's things that they've been told for years that are going to get done, that your roadways are going to be done. We're selling certain things in order to have funds to be able to make our city better. But then when you have a winter like what we've had in downtown, to where, like me, my business, people couldn't even park around my business for a week because of the snow plows and because things weren't done properly. And then aside from that, the roads are in terrible condition. The infrastructure can be done so much better right now. And I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, well, I'm going to make everything perfect right there. What I am saying is that what I've seen over the last 4 years, things aren't working, and we need to implement different policies to be able to put these things at the forefront of our priorities.
No, and I absolutely agree with you. Over the past 2 or 3 years, my husband and I have had to travel from Mason, where I am, to downtown. And, we see all of these abandoned buildings. If you've ever been downtown Cincinnati, it is such a pretty city. Like, all of the old architecture, it's so cool to look at. And, it's unfortunate because they're boarded up. And then you see, the homelessness, and there are drug problems and crime problems and all these things. And I'm so thankful that there is somebody that I feel like is finally stepping up to bat, that's going to actually do something about all of these issues that we're seeing, in the Queen City.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mention this. The first years of our church, we were actually right next door to a homeless shelter. And I saw firsthand the issues that the homeless deal with, because the reality of it is that every one of them are still individuals. This isn't just an issue. These are people. So you still have to deal with it humanely. But the fact is that certain policies just allow certain things to happen in our city that make it feel unsafe in certain areas. It allows the homeless issue not to get better, but to get worse. I remember specifically for me, I would be friends with people that would have buildings or have things that were associated with the West End, and the city would sit there and say, hey, can you house these homeless over the winter time, just so that we don't have deaths on the streets? And that's completely fine. But the reality of it is that these are issues that should be tackled first and foremost, as a priority for the city, not just when it gets cold. And you can't bypass zoning or certain things that need to be up to code, like electrical or HVAC. A lot of times they're willing to bypass those things just to make sure that the news doesn't show that there's a bunch of dead homeless in the city that year. And so what I saw is that there's so many issues like that, where it's just being put under the rug, it's being hidden, or it's being dealt with from a temporary standpoint instead of actually fixing the root issues.
No, you make a lot of good points. Everybody wants to pretend everything is so fine and dandy. We have the Reds, we have the Bengals, we have this, we have that. But unless you build your foundation strong, everything else, it's not going to stand as strong as it could. And I feel like Cincinnati is a really popular tourist spot. We have a lot of not only local tourist attractions within Cincinnati, but in the outside suburbs. People want to go visit all of these things, but I had a friend travel to the area for the tennis tournament, and she got an Airbnb downtown Cincinnati. And she said it was so scary that all they heard were sirens and gunshots, and they were afraid to walk outside. But there's things that that could be done and that could be handled differently than what has been, that has kind of been ignored the past few years. And I think that's what you're kind of getting at too, that there are a lot of good things, but there are some things that we just need to really tackle and take care of.
Yeah, there really needs to be a sense of safety in the city. And I believe that you get that for the majority of parts of the city, but it's starting to accelerate even more. That there's times where, like for me and my wife, we took our family out to Fountain Square last night. We were always downtown. And so we decided, hey, we're going to go to the Graders right next there. And I was very upset because they didn't have the Skyline ice
Hey.
cream there. So
Yeah.
I'm putting like an APB out. Like I need whoever has this Skyline ice cream, like I will pay double of what you paid for it because I just need to taste this. But anyway, we're there. And I looked at my wife and I just said, this is such an amazing area. It's a Tuesday night and it's not necessarily the busiest of nights, but I will say this, that it wasn't like pouring rain. It wasn't, like that, but there were people that were trying to enjoy the ice rink. And then we were in that Graders. And I remember that the manager had to like start kicking people out of there because there was people that were there not to buy anything but just to loiter. And I felt so bad for the manager because you could just feel this sense that she didn't feel safe.
Right.
And here's the thing is that the attitude of the city can't be, oh, we just need to discriminate or we need to abuse our powers or we just need to, tighten up there. There needs to be a sense that in our community, we are safe, we are protected. And that's exactly what the policies of whatever administration is in the mayoral position or the city council positions needs to put forward, that we support our cops, that we support safety, we support the law, but then we support the flourishing of our community and our business to where people can bring their kids, they can bring their families downtown and not have to worry about those things. And I'm speaking from experience because me and my wife, we lived on 4th Street for years, and we actually heard every touchdown. We heard every parade, we heard every cheer, but then we also heard every gunshot and every siren. And we started realizing that there's this underlying thing in the downtown area to where the safety the sense of community is starting to diminish because people get to a point where they don't even feel confident calling the cops anymore.
Yeah, and all that you're saying is true. And I know that local, especially if you live in downtown, I know that they can relate, they can feel the same. One of the grandest traditions is going downtown to Fountain Square to ice skate with your family and Christmas. But it's hard to do whenever 2 blocks down the road this or that. And it's because those in charge right now, they're not doing anything about it. So my question to you, what are the top, let's say, 5 things that you would do to make Cincinnati better, safer, more economically sound? Education is a huge thing. Cincinnati Public Schools, that's a huge thing that we need to really look into and kind of put 10 toes down to what we want to see in the future. So my question to you, what are the top things that you would do your first days, weeks, months as mayor of Cincinnati?
Well, I will say this, that what I've heard from people is that there's a lot of parachute politicians that come in, they drop in and they try to implement whatever they feel is the right things to do. That's not me. I don't even want to consider myself a politician necessarily because I didn't even know about this till 2 weeks ago. But I will say this, you have to base your policies, you have to base what you are going to do for the city based on experience. And I'll say this, that as I've talked to people over the years, and even more so in the last 2 weeks, a lot of the ticket items or a lot of the hot topics that happen in the city, the majority of them can be based or rooted toward proper money management. And so That is the number one thing that I would say is a priority in our campaign, in our race, and what we stand for is proper money management. Is that if you cannot budget the books properly, if you cannot look at the money coming in and use it properly to help the people in the city, then you're not fit to hold the office that you are. Our job isn't to take the money that's coming into the city, which we have the largest GDP in Ohio. We have the economy to back up what we need to do for our citizens. But the problem is that you're furthering issues or you're furthering agendas that don't really benefit the everyday citizen. And so a lot of these items or a lot of these issues that I'm hearing people talk about with the pension or possible bankruptcy of the city or the streetcar expansion or a lot of other issues that I'm hearing, I can tell you that if you root out the issue of proper money management and not having abuse and waste and corruption in this city, then a lot of those issues take care of themselves. Because I'm just telling you this right now. I live downtown. Nobody is like so upset because they see a streetcar going by. They are upset because they find out what the money was that went into that streetcar that should have gone into more important issues. They're upset that the pension is not being done properly. They're upset that these priorities of the roads and the streets and the snowplows haven't been taking a priority. And so I think that proper money management and prioritizing where the funds need to go, that has got to be a key thing that we focus on. Number two, there is a crisis happening with affordable housing and housing in general in our city. I'm in the West End, and the last statistics that I've been told is that we are over 80% affordable housing in that area. And whether you want to see it as helping people with housing or not, you are choking out the next generation. Because this generation, if you are living in an area that is 80% affordable housing, there is no shot that this generation is going to be able to lift themselves up out of that poverty. It is a trap that these communities are being forgotten about or taken advantage of because it just seems convenient to put the affordable housing there or to put that area to use in those realms. And so that's something that's huge for us, mainly because I'm seeing it firsthand. Another thing that we have to do is eliminate the red tape per se. I know that's cliche, but you have to eliminate the restraints for businesses to thrive in our city. There's too many good restaurants that are closing down in our city. There's too many retail places that are closing down in our city. We have to facilitate the growth and the prosperity of these businesses in our area. Our job isn't to just clear out these areas and then put a high-end developer in these areas to try to solve it. There are local community businesses that are hungry to thrive in our city. There are people that want to own bakeries and coffee shops and restaurants and clothing stores and other goods and services in our downtown area. They just feel like because of the taxes, because of the costs of the rent or the leases in the area or the cost that it's going to take to get it zoned properly, it's very intimidating and it puts a kink in the hose of what we can see in our city. And so that's something huge for me as a business owner, as somebody that has seen a community that has all the potential in the world, but has been choked out by the policies and by the red tape and by the permitting and all of that. We have to look at this from a common sense perspective.
No, I love those. And what I'm hearing, and I think it's so important, it's obviously God first, people first, your community first, small businesses, which is what, I think a lot of people are thriving and they're trying to hang on to. I followed you and your page, and on your Twitter, you ask like question of the day is, what do Cincinnati residents want to see? What kind of changes do they want to see? What problems have they faced? And I love that you are really trying to connect with those around you in the city, really putting forth like, hey, what is it that I need to do? How can I serve you? When a lot of other people who might be in that position right now or in the past, I don't think that they've really done that. So I applaud you for doing that so early on.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, there's plenty of issues that are important to people. I think one of the key weapons of this campaign and this race is going to be transparency. It's going to be able to answer people's questions and to be able to look at people in the face and actually hear what their opinion is, what is their experience. Because for too long, I was talking to this group of young Republicans. It was rising Republicans that are in the city right now, great group of young people. And I remember there was some question that they were talking about because they were just, open table discussion about certain issues. And there was one to where every single one of them were saying things, but you could tell that they were not going with their gut feeling. They were like, there was hesitancy in how they answered the question, but they weren't being like fully transparent about how they felt, because you could just tell there was like this fear of, well, I don't want to say something wrong, or I don't want to say this to offend anybody. But I looked at all of them and I said, you've got to get over the mindset that it is wrong to voice your opinion. You've got to get over the
Wow.
mindset that you have to, hold back how you really feel about things, because nothing's going to get done if people are not being honest with themselves. There's so many questions or so many conversations that I have with people downtown. We start the conversation off not as you're right, I'm left, or you're blue and I'm red. We don't start it off that way. We start off with, this is my experience, what I'm seeing and witnessing firsthand every day. And then as we discuss our opinions, as we discuss what could happen, we actually come with a conclusion that can help and benefit the community, not based on this is a right or left stance. This is a common sense stance that is going to help people. And that's how I really plan on running this race, on running this campaign, and running a future mayorship, is to be able to look at everybody's circumstance, every single person's opinion, and then develop a clear answer or a clear plan based on how to help people from common sense.
I love that. Just a few, I know your time is short. You're so super busy. You guys listening, I hope that you've taken so much from this podcast. Again, if you are local, please, 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 please share this. Share, tag all your friends, all your coworkers, everybody, especially those that are in the Cincinnati limits. I have a few more questions, Cory. First of all, do you think that if you are elected as mayor of Cincinnati, that the those surrounding you would work with you, or do you think that it would kind of be like a bully kind of thing, and they're not going to listen at all? What do you feel about that?
Well, we have to start somewhere. I think that there's a mindset in Cincinnati, because we have not had a Republican mayor in almost 50 years. You haven't had a nominee in 15 years. There's this sense that we're somehow defeated in this city, that it's not even worth stepping forward and voicing an opinion. And so I don't want anybody on the other side to feel that as well. I think that there's people that have valid opinions that we need to listen to, but we need to be able to see it, like I said, from common sense. If it's just one person versus it all, it's going to be a tough road. We need to work together on these issues, but you cannot compromise, because if you compromise on certain issues based on, oh, we got to find a middle ground, then really what you're doing is you're compromising on lost communities. You're compromising on people that have been left behind in these policies, because we just got to have unity and get along. Unity is going to come from people seeing the results of proper policies that help people.
I'm so excited for what you're doing and what you're going to do. What has the response been? What did your family say whenever, you told them that you thought about running for mayor of Cincinnati? What was that like?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, number one, I have to be in agreement with my wife. And so whenever I was considering this, we're about to celebrate 10 years being married this March. That's
Amazing.
next month, my God. And we have 3 kids, a fourth on the way. And so this isn't something that you can just jump in without the support of your family. And so first and foremost, me and my wife, we talked about it. Whenever it first came up, we actually took 3 days to pray and fast about it. She wasn't fasting, she's pregnant. And so I said, no, I'll do the fasting. But we really got before God and just said, is this something that we want to pursue? And then as we made those decisions, I was letting certain family members know, just to be aware of these things. we know the attack that will come. We know the assumptions that will come. And honestly, my brother is JD Vance, but I wasn't trying to run a race based on being JD Vance's brother. I was just running it based on being somebody that has lived in Cincinnati that can't stand the thought of people not having a choice in our city. But we knew that the stories were going to come out. We knew that the attacks were going to come. We knew that whoever they are, was going to come after us. And we've seen people make assumptions about why we're getting in this race. But as our family came together, I made sure that they knew the intentions, that they knew what we were going to get into. And that support has been, invaluable to me, because with that, I know, like, no matter what we face throughout the day, I can come home, and if I see my 2-year-old daughter giving me a hug and saying, "Hi, Dad, I love you," then that's all I need. If I see my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old and I'm able to play around with them and wrestle with them, they don't care whether, I have this policy in place or that policy. That gives me the strength to move on and to keep on going. I will say this, that the support and the encouragement that we've gotten from the community face to face has been overwhelming. I was in my coffee shop all last week, and people would come in. There were some people who would come in, they would sign our petition and then just say, "Thank you so much." And they would literally be almost in tears, saying that we never thought that the day would come where we'd have somebody to get behind to break this thing open, to be able to see an actual choice in our city. And so for me, that was very humbling, because all I saw it as is, if somebody's got to step into this and nobody's willing to do it, I'll do it.
I love that. And you just sharing that, like, it I don't live in the city of Cincinnati. We live in the suburbs. We work almost in Cincinnati. Um, but I couldn't even imagine, living in a community where there is no choice. It's like one way, and that's the way, and that's it. And these poor people that, they love their city, they don't want to move there, or they don't have the means to move, but they're stuck in this one lane kind of struggle. And then you're coming in and swooping in, and you're bringing choices and bringing another, viewpoint. And I can understand completely why they would be in tears. And I'm so thankful for you. Cory, how can my audience, how can I help you? What can we do to further this progress so you are the next mayor of Cincinnati?
Well, what I'm telling people is that there is really an army rising up of people willing to support and help and volunteer. But we need everybody that we can, because this is going to be an uphill battle for the next 8 months. And I don't say that in a way to where we're going to be defeated. We're running to win. We're not running to lose. A lot of people will enter races like this just to get notoriety or to move on to the next phase. That's not our mentality. Our mentality is, we are running this to win. And so if you want to be behind us in this, you can first go to CoryBowman.com. CoryBowman.com. It's on the bottom of the screen, I believe. But there you can actually submit your name, and there's 3 categories that you can actually fill out. Check all that apply of how you want to be involved. Number 2, this is our number 1 priority. By February 20th, we have to have, our goal is 1,000 signatures, in-person signatures of those registered in the city of Cincinnati to vote. We need those signatures by February 20th. My goal is to submit everything by Tuesday morning. And so in order to do this, we have to have not only one signature, we have to have people willing to circulate and getting these petitions for us. And so if you are in the city of Cincinnati and you are registered to vote in one of our districts, then come to King's Arms Coffee, which is right in the West End there, and you can fill out our petition there. I'm also going to be in the Hyde Park area this Saturday from noon to 3 p.m. because we're going to be at a town hall meeting there discussing connected communities and the issue that's going on there. There's a lot of people upset by what's happening through those issues in Hyde Park. And so we're going to be there collecting signatures, hearing the opinions of people based on these issues so that we can have clear policies in place for the future to help these people. So we're going to be there. And then if you are not able to be in person, whether it be at King's Arms Coffee or there on Saturday in the Hyde Park area, then not register, but email us at contact@corybowman.com and let us know where you are. We'll come meet you. And so if you're willing to sign the petition, number one, or if you're willing to sign it and also be a circulator to help us get names, if there's a group that you're a part of, if there's a business that you're a part of, or if there is family members that you have in the area that you know, I can get 5 names, I can get 10 names, I can get 25 names, let us know and we will get the petitions to you, or we'll let you know where to pick it up. So if you want to be a part of that between now and next Tuesday, then email us at contact@River Cincinnati, not River Cincinnati, that's our church website, contact@CoryBowman.com, and you can have all the information there to be a part of it. After that, there's going to be many opportunities for financial contributions and volunteer to be able to get signs and banners and flyers out and to be able to talk with people one-on-one. Call centers. There's going to be many opportunities in the future for those that are outside that want to be a part as well. But for right now, we have to be tunnel visioned. We have to get these signatures on our petition by no later than February 20th. And so if you want to be a part of that, reach out to us at CoryBowman.com.
And you said the output has been good. You've had a lot of signatures come in. Are you guys feeling very confident? I'm so excited for you and your family and what is to come. I think you are exactly what the city of Cincinnati needs, and I can't wait to work with you and help promote you even more. Thank you so much, Cory, for your time. One more time for my audience, CoryBowman.com. And you can find all the information there. Cory, if you'll stick around for just 10 seconds after we end, please, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please, please, please share this. I know I've said it a million times. Share this, tag your friends, leave comments. It'll help boost the algorithm on Facebook, Instagram, X, where we are streaming right now. I cannot wait to see where your campaign goes. Thank you, Cory, so much. You guys, thank you for tuning in. God bless you. God bless this country. And together we're Patriots Strong. Bye, guys.